moment.
All right, we'll hear more from Graham Lowe as the game goes on, but we've managed to fix our commentators' microphones. Here's Greg Clark.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Graham. Well, interesting opening stanza to this Lion Red League Cup final. Both sides sorting each other out for the penalty coming up here to Wainvinta, Rusty Matua, offside.
Especially that first score.
They were beaten finalists last year. 11 players who played then are back again today. They beat Te Autatu last weekend, captained by Ken Laban. Please welcome Wainvinta.
George Van Bogle.
Otahuhu in the blue, kicking off right to left. And kicking the ball dead to start with. Play to restart. Underneath the Wainui goalposts. We have a problem with Greg Clark's microphone at the moment, so Graham Lowe and I will be doing the commentary until we've managed to fix that and got Greg Clark back. And a bad mistake, early final, nerves. Graham, how much of a part do you think nerves will play in this final?
Well, it plays a major part, really. It depends on who settles down earliest. You know, there's already been a couple of mistakes there, and Otahuhu had themselves in a position that they could have put Wainvinta under pressure immediately, but I think that was nerves that ruined the opportunity.
Wainui like to play very much like the Newcastle Knights. You'll see probably a lot of one-out running from them, you think?
Well, you know, if that's effective for them, that's the way they've got to do it. They shouldn't try and alter their style at all. And Otahuhu play a flowing game, and they'll use that in their match as well. But as I said before, I think the initial 10 minutes, the nerve, the emotion of it all does play a major part, and it's just going to be who settles down initially, gets composure, and then works for good field position.
Wainui had a win on Carlo Park last weekend against Te Autatu. I think we'll see a lot of one-out running from them this afternoon as they try Otahuhu out, and there's the kick in from Jason Gilbert. The bomb coming down on around the 22 mark. It's well taken now, and they're beginning to run it clear. And another mistake from Otahuhu. They really haven't settled down at all well. So now try to run it up towards their 22. And they managed to free it. Blackmore got it away. The left winger across, helping out in the middle of the park. Wainui penalised. They didn't lift the player up quickly enough.
I think at this stage of the game, Jeff, also the rain looks like it's just hanging off, but it could possibly come down later on, and I think Otahu's got to try and capitalise on that. The speed that they've got and the flair that they've got can only really be utilised when the conditions are such as they are now. So they do have to settle down as quickly as possible and use that flair, capitalise on the present conditions.
You think if it does rain, it'll be to Wainui's advantage?
I think so, because they appear to be a bigger side than I am, and any side that plays one out, geez, that was a fantastic big hit.
It was a big hit, and certainly it started things off just a couple of minutes into the final. The nerves are raw. They'd have been sent out with instructions to tackle, tackle, tackle. And certainly taken to the limit there. Now you see it here. Oh, it was very high. And now the Otahuhu players just been told to settle down, concentrate more on the game, playing the ball and getting into any vendettas early on in the game.
One of the problems that does happen in these finals is that both teams would have been G'd up by all their friends back at their own clubs. All their mates would be telling them do this and do that. The emotion of the game, brings out all those memories, all those things that have been told to them, and that's just what they've got to forget. They've got to be composed. This type of, those type of angry tactics, or not angry, but borderline tactics certainly have got no part in the game. And a final like this, 2 points given away at the start of the game could quite easily win the match.
So Wainui captain Ken Laban given a talking to. Play to restart with the penalty. Otahuhu last weekend in the semi-final against Upper Hutt took a long time to settle down. In fact, Upper Hutt had the best of the first 20 minutes. Now it remains to be seen whether they can settle down more quickly in this final at Carlo Park against Wainui-Yamato. Wainui not the Wellington champions this year. They were beaten by Upper Hutt in the final, but they managed to get through to this National Club final for the second time in a row. As Wainui come away with the ball from the scrum and a mini break, but the Otahuhu defence holds.
Things are definitely going Wainui-Yamato's way at the moment. Like Otahu's lost a couple of good advantages, good field position advantage, and they've lost them through just straight commitment of the Wainui-Yamato side. And I must say at this stage, even though only a couple of minutes gone, they do look the more composed. They're just playing the more basic football.
What do you think of Joe Gwynn's decision to release Nikau and Leota to go north before the final?
Well, I think it's a good decision from Joe. They've had the opportunity to go and play in a professional game, and sure, the club's in for a big final this week, but the decision of Joe, I think, is one of compassion towards the players, and I'm pleased to see it.
Gilbert's kick going dead. Just over 5 minutes gone. No score in the final of the Lion Red League Cup. Otahuhu with the restart on the 22. We can look to see them starting there to use their big forwards as well. Harvey Mason a dummy half. Now they're moving it wide.
This is talking on the microphone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I think at this stage of the game,
right.
the front rows, the outer forwards in particular, have got to just try and get a bit of momentum going. They're trying to offload the ball a little bit too much and open it up when they haven't really gained the ground advantage. And it's working right into Wainui's hands. And it's Otahuhu front rows in particular, and their back rows to gain good yardage, good ascendancy, then follow it up with a good kick and get some field position, and then try and concentrate on opening the ball up. They're doing it the wrong way around at the moment.
All right, we'll hear more from Graham Lowe as the game goes on, but we've managed to fix our commentators' microphones. Here's Greg Clark.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Graham. Well, interesting opening stanza to this Lion Red League Cup final. Both sides sorting each other out for the penalty coming up here to Wainui-Yamato. Rusty Matua offside. Richard Becknell have lost in the forward battle so far.
Frantic opening. There's a melee there before, and it's really all on. A great hit from Lomax, but obviously judged to be too high by referee Jim Stokes. He couldn't fault him on that one, but there's plenty of edge in this game. There's plenty of competitiveness, and it just seems the sides are just taking a little bit of time to settle down at this stage with their kicking games and sorting out their patterns.
The restart from Alan Jackson Davis. It's Heston Patia. So a chance for Wainui-Yamato now. Arnold Lomax. Forwards working towards that line. Tony Lomax only 10 metres out. Penalty to Wainvinta. Otahuhu right inside the 5 metres, and this should be a gift 2 points for a kicker like Jason Gilbert, a prolific point scorer.
It's certainly a gift for them. It's a bit windy here today, but this is right in front of the sticks. He won't miss this one. Good start for them. But Otahuhu way up inside, just trying to stop the roll. Those big guys are getting the roll on there. They're Lomax brothers. Very, very difficult to stop, as we saw last week, and the same again this week.
Jason Gilbert, the standoff, 23 years of age. Wellington and New Zealand Māori representative this year. There's good indication of the breeze here at Carlaw Park. Gilbert having plenty of trouble placing it, and a good indication of the angle. Just out to the right of the right-hand upright. 1 try and 4 goals last week in the semi-final win over Te Atatu. Time out now as the ball falls over again in the breeze.
This is certainly a bit unnerving for him, even if it is an easy kick. I mean, it's been knocked over so many times.
Well, he put it over. Wasn't the best looking kick in the world, but it did the job for them. 2 points to nil. Wainvinta lead Otahuhu in the 1990 Line Red League Cup Grand Final. Gilbert will be pleased to get that one under his belt.
Very, very pleased. I mean, he's an excellent kicker. There's their coach, Kara Pukitapu, done a great job with him. 2 years in First Division in Wellington. They've made the Grand Final both years, won it once, lost it this year.
Wainvinta take it in goal and work it out. That's the quarter line. Ryan Gredinski. This time it's the youngest of the Lomax brothers, David Lomax, in from the right wing looking for a bit of work. Ellie Davis from dummy half.
Still this usual pattern of Wainvinta's of one-out football, finally getting the kick in now on the last tackle.
Gilbert turning the Otahuhu players around, and that was misjudged poorly by Graham, but he manages to go back and clean up. Good chasing by Alan Jackson to wrap him up 12 metres out now. Rusty Matua from dummy half. ...20 metres out from his own line. Riley looking for the runners. Jim Paul. Riley. Clark. Got away from a couple, Dean Clark. Leading by example, the skipper. Mason a dummy half. Arthur Clark. Down the blind side they go. Desmond Meyer crashes into Wayne Barton. Penalty this time to Otahuhu. Wainvinta inside the 5 metres.
Otahuhu having a few problems organising a kicking game as well, but they seem to be following Wainvinta's lead, don't they? Just taking it out once, just at this stage, taking them on in close, which could be a danger later on.
Mark Riley, Arthur Clark finds the opening, the standoff. Run away from the support though.
Nice move from the restart there.
Mason. Here's Dean Clark. Desmond Meyer looming up, and he missed him out and threw it over to Richard Blackmore. They're keeping it alive, the Leopards. There's Meyer, has it now. Ducked under a high one. 20 metres out now. Riley. Clark. Ignacio. Gilamatantia. Oh, big hit coming in over the top from, I think it was Arnold Lomax there.
What a hit.
Down the blind side, Arthur Clark. Michael Graham up into the line. But the Wainvinta defence holding on, but they've been adjudged to be inside the 5 metres. Quick tap taken by the Leopards. Dean Clark. Here's a chance. Over the top to Richard Blackmore, but he's left it behind. Has been picked up, in fact knocked on by David Lomax. Real heart-on-the-mouth stuff, that.
I have to say that was a bit of a waste. I mean, it was a little bit wide out. It's a bit windy, but surely you have to take the option of the 2 points at this stage of the game.
Richard Blackmore really in a game like this, you would think would hold on to something like that. There's the Otahuhu coach, Joe Gwynn.
Great record Joe Gwynn's had in Premier football in Auckland. He first coached Otahuhu to a premiership title in 1975.
Well, here's a chance for the Leopards again. Dean Clark, the double round with his older brother Arthur. Out to Michael Graham, up into the line. And over the top to Rusty Matua. Try! Otahuhu have scored in the corner.
Well, vindication for their move to tap there before. They have to be happy with that. I mean, they could have gone for the 2 and missed it, but they've won the scrum ball here. Dean Clark's long pass connected with his outsides here. Michael Graham into the line. Runs very sweetly and offloads beautifully here to Rusty Matua. Over in a couple of tackles, Gwiazinski and Gilbert there, but he gets through both of them.
Yes, a good wingers finishing try, this one. Still had a lot of work to go here. Beat one, turned in the tackle of Gilbert. Good try. So a promising start by Otahuhu now. Rusty Matua, a member of the Auckland squad in previous seasons.
Excellent reply from them. This is Otahuhu's strength. They've got big forwards. Obviously, they can match Wainui for size this week compared with Te Aratu a week ago. But the big thing they have going for them is this back line. They've got loads of pace, loads of strength. People like Vila Matotia, who's very strong on the run, and Dean Clark, such a brilliant organiser.
Well, a difficult conversion attempt for Dean Clark. Pretty good effort, though. Straight between the uprights. A confident start to the Otahuhu skipper. The Leopards lead the Lions by 6 points to 2 at Carlaw Park.
There is Dean Clark. He's had a rough season this year. He made the Kiwis, was dropped and couldn't really make an impact on the Auckland representative scene, but he's certainly been a major influence on Otahuhu's run in the end of the season for the grand final victory and now in the Lion Red Championship.
Waiting for the ball to arrive for the restart. It'll be Jason Gilbert to kick off. The referee today, Jim Stokes from Canterbury. It's been a big year for him. So the restart by Wainui. Michael Graham at fullback. Takes it up to the quarter line. Mark Riley, Arthur Clark, Richard Blackmore, the former Petone Rugby Union player. Dean Noble. Now it's going to be an interesting clash with the forwards in the first half. Last week Wainui were allowed to dominate the Te Aratu pack. Could be a bit different today with some big Otahuhu forwards. Now they keep it wide with Dean Clark. Back inside it goes to the front Sen. Ikanasio.
Another high shot in there, I'd say, but he's got away with it.
Matapia. The Leopards on a bit of a roll.
Well, they're fizzing.
Now that's the handover. Penalty on the sixth tackle.
Knock-on ruled against Matotia and the play the ball, I think, there.
Weston Partia in from the wing looking for a bit of work. Tony Lomax. Arnold Lomax. John Lomax. The Lomaxes going with themselves. Laban couldn't connect. A good pass out wide, and Partia's there to clean up.
Well, you've got to like Otahuhu's defence at the moment. They're really hitting it hard.
Now this is John Lomax straight up the middle, being driven back though. Gilbert. Dave O'Sullivan got one through his legs, but Marteltia read that pretty well. But Wainui keep it alive now. This is Jackson. There's the grubber kick. Straight into the arms of Mark Riley. Voted by the Auckland referees as the best and fairest player in 1990, the little Otahuhu halfback. Graham. This game has certainly opened up at a hectic pace. We've had 17 minutes in play, 6-2. Otahuhu leading. Steve Message. Jim Paul down the blind side.
Just a danger here that referee Jim Stokes just has to keep an eye on the 5 metres. He seems to be letting the sides creep up a little bit.
Well, that's the 5th tackle as Mark Riley will get up to play it. Dean Clark. Yogi Rogers. I was impressed with his performance against the Attitude last week. And a great run by the fullback. At about 25 metres right up the middle, and here's a chance for Wainvinta to add some extra points.
Well, that's exactly the potential Rogers showed last week. He was certainly good fielding the ball and running it back. And this time he's threaded through so many of them here. Look at this. Just gets through 3 of them, and then Dean Clark's there to stop him at the end. But Otahuhu infringed. Penalty, holding the man down. And Gilbert must have a good shot of kicking this again for 6-4.
Right on the 22-metre line. Dean Clark, the man who's leading Otahuhu today, but he gave away a penalty there, taking the ball away from Rogers after the referee had called held. Oh, it's Gilbert moving in. And another 2 points on the board for Wainvinta. The gap closes. 2 points to Jason Gilbert. Again, so it's Otahuhu 6 leading Wainvinta 4.
Clark might have been at fault there, but it was a vital tackle to make him. It's a try-saver.
There's the coach of the Wainvinta team, Kara Puketapu, who was voted Wellington Club Coach of the Year last year, in his first year with the Premier side. Wayne Barton. Been converted from a fullback to a loose forward and certainly made the conversion with no problems whatsoever. Ellie Davis. David Lomax. 10 metres from halfway. Guedinsky. Almost to halfway. Rogers. Knock on there. The referee spotted it, so we'll have a scrum.
See the pattern there again, as Jeff actually commented earlier on when we were having our troubles with communications. This Wainvinta side is very much like the Newcastle Knights. They just play one-out football, very safe, percentages they play on.
Well, Otahuhu come away with it. Mark Riley, the halfback, one over the top to Rusty Matua. Wainvinta defence got there, though. Mason having a run on his own, the hooker, almost to the 22. Arthur Clark, Dean Clark, held up.
Now Otahuhu have got down here. This is a sort of field position they have to maintain, retain. They have to organise themselves here very, very soon.
Sam Ignacio. Played in the under-21 grades for most of the year. Drafted in to replace Francis Leota, the Kiwi, so he's got a big role to fill, and so far so good for the youngster. Knock on. Arthur Clark appealing for a penalty. Well, there's a real Otahuhu supporter, the Leopard. Wainvinta come away with it. Jackson, a dummy half, having a run. Interesting to see the roll between, or the duel between the two hookers, both former Taranaki boys. A big hit there.
Yeah, Jackson looked a very good hooker last week, very busy from dummy half. Made some valuable yards time and time again.
Knock on after Tony Lomax lost it. Jim Paul couldn't get away with it.
A little bit of niggle going on after the whistle here too. I think that could lead to something big if we're not careful.
Davis takes it away from the scrum base. Lomax back inside to the captain, Laban. Thrown into the turf there by young Desmond Meyer. Dave O'Sullivan. Around the legs goes Dean Clark. Message is in there as well as Meyer again.
They're flying in from everywhere, these defenders.
Good run from Alan Jackson. But he runs into Mason. Lomax. Losing it.
Riley snaffled that.
Now a penalty to Otahuhu. Wainvinta well into the commentators again. Dean Clark takes the quick tap, keeping the momentum going.
It's good to see Jim Stokes policing that 5 metres. It's important that he does, because otherwise the game will degenerate.
Good strong run from Desmond Meyer. Got to the halfway line. Got it back to Mason. Mason gets it out to Ika Nasio. 2 metres inside. Wainvinta territory. GB's forwards are certainly trying to sort themselves out.
I think Joe Gwynn's right. He said we'll match them for size. You look at these big guys that are hitting that for otahuhu.
Matautia takes on Laban. Laban's there to throw him into the turf, along with Davis. Jim Paul, head down, straight up the middle. It's good enough for Wainvinta. The Otahuhu forwards say it's good enough for them. Arthur Clark, Dean Clark, kicking for the grandstand touchline. Lying loose in the ground. Graham couldn't get hold of it. And so Wainvinta will come away with it, but a lucky bounce there that really paid off for Otahuhu.
An unlucky tangle there for the 2 otahuhu players.
Dwayne Gwierdinski. Laban, the captain, trying to urge his side on. Dartman, 10 metres from halfway. Gwierdinski in from the centres again. He was more as a forward than a centre.
Makes some valuable metres though. He's getting play up towards halfway and gets them in a position where they can get that territorial position. I mean that strategic position inside the 22.
So Mark Riley hammered there by O'Sullivan. Jim Paul. Now Richard Blackmore had a strong game against Upper Hutt in the semi-finals last week. Good strong run again and a good ball over the top to Jim Paul. He's keeping it alive. Arthur Clark throws a dummy inside to Mark Riley. Good work by the inside backs there.
Oh, brilliant football.
Riley.
Brilliant football there. Jim Paul involved. They're looking good.
Message. Matautia storming onto the ball. Good low tackle there, however, from Lomax. It was John Lomax. There's Meyer. Hands it back. Ikanasio. That's the 5th tackle now for Otahuhu. They lead by 6 points to 4 after 26 minutes of play. Here's Dean Clark. The drop goal, it came off one of the Wainvinta players. There's touch there, so we're going to have a restart from the goal mouth. Vila Matautia injured there after a strong run into John Lomax.
He's made several of those this afternoon. He's very, very keen to take the defence on, and he came off a little worse that time. But this is big. This is real pressure for Wainvinta to soak up at the moment. They've been down on defence for some time. They face another 6 on defence with the drop out from underneath the posts.
Dwayne Gwierdinski taking plenty of time. Michael Graham to the 22-metre line. Michael Graham, no relation to the great Mark Graham, who graced the Otahuhu colours back in the late 70s. Knock on. Jim Stokes right on the mark. Otahuhu not doing themselves any favours on that occasion.
Yeah, that was a bit silly. They're just trying to do a little bit too much on the second tackle there. Could have worked it a couple more before trying anything too adventurous. Davis
puts it in, takes it out. Gilbert. Laban. to the quarter line. Patia. Tony Lomax. David Lomax. Here's John Lomax. Good ball back inside to Yogi Rogers. And he's thrown it back to Harvey Mason from Otahuhu.
Well, John Lomax looked like he was just dawdling up there, but he was just spotting the gap. Found it nicely.
Now it's Dean Clark having a run on his own. Martautia received a bit of attention earlier on from the Zambak, but he's okay now. Now it's Arthur Clark. Jim Paul taking on the Wainui Yamada Armoury. Mark Riley. Sam Ignacio.
They might be missing Nico Leota and Falmuina, but they still look a useful set of forwards, these Otahuhu ones so far.
Well, there's the kick from Arthur Clark, finding some open spaces. Sending Rogers back to his own try line. And he's tackled by Steve Message. Good chasing by the second row.
That's the way they've got to do it. That's good chasing.
Eston Patia. Our guest commentator today is Manly coach Graham Lowe. He's with Jeff Bryan.
Graham, Otahuhu finding it hard to make progress against Wainui.
Yeah, Wainui Mata's defending extremely well, but I think one of the main reasons is finding it hard because their forwards are all plenty of them are willing and they're running very hard, but possibly they should be running off to play the ball a little bit more instead of out as wide as they are, because they're not gaining any yardage across the advantage line of the ruck.
Running from the play the ball is exactly what Wainui are doing.
Yeah, I think if Otahuhu just run one off to play the ball, just like their front rowers, get in there and just go one off a few times, just to vary it a bit. At the moment, they're all hanging back and playing in the centres.
Well, it's Richard Blackmore with the ball now on the Otahuhu quarter line. 6 points to 4. The Leopards from Auckland leading the Lions from Wellington. Another 10 minutes to go in the first half. Interesting to see if these players can keep up this pace. It's been fairly rugged. So replacement going off the field for Wainui Mata in the back play there. He is number 12, and that's Tony Lomax. And 15, Steve Cox is on.
He made a big impression in last year's final as a front rower, actually.
Dean Clark slipping over there. Still manages to get it back to Michael Graham. Kicking into open spaces, sending Yogi Rogers back. Takes it inside his own quarter.
Good line moving up there from Otahuhu. Graham Lowe makes an interesting point about the Otahuhu pattern, that they're taking it out a bit wider. Perhaps they are working harder to get up towards the advantage. And you watch Wainui now, they'll probably pick up much easier yards.
Lomax. This is a replacement, Steve Cox. So no trouble for the Wainui Mata forwards to make inroads. Now it's John Lomax. That's the 5th tackle. Jason Gilbert having a run on his own. There goes the kick over the top. Michael Graham's back there. And he's going to be held up in goal. Dropout.
Clever piece of play there from Jason Gilbert. He looked penned in. He should have been penned in, actually. He was looking to kick earlier, but then he made a dart. A nice little chip over the top, and that was good chasing from him to keep Graham in behind the goal line for the goal line dropout.
Coach Kara Pukatapu must have a bit of a smile on his face earlier on. Dean Clark not smiling at the moment. He's got to try and get his team out of their own half. The Goalmouth dropout, straight into the arms of Yogi Rogers. Tackled by Mason. David Lomax to the quarter line. Now it's Otahuhu's turn to have a bit of constant pressure. Cox up the middle. Back to Jackson. O'Sullivan. Lomax. John Lomax. Martin, they want it down the blind side, but Arnold Lomax has left it behind. Vila Martantio, can he get a good bounce? Now has he got the pace to get away? No, Davis is there inside the Dean Clark. Trying to link up with his support players. Can't do so, so he'll take the tackle. 10 metres inside Wainui-a-Mata territory.
And that's sensible football from Clark.
Riley, Message, Paul, Meyer. There's Meyer, left it behind. It's gone forward, picked up now by Michael Graham, but they'll pull it back for the scrum.
And that didn't look so good, did it? Trying to swing it so wide, so many hands. They weren't deep enough. They didn't have enough room to move in the end, and they got crowded, lost possession.
So Ali Davis, a chef at the Plaza Hotel in Wellington. Used to serving up the dishes, preparing the dishes. Now he's feeding the scrum. Steve Cox.
Now this rain coming in is going to affect things a little bit. It's just light at the moment, a bit wispy, but you know, it could become a real forward slog if we get too much of it.
Well, Jackson had nobody running onto him, so he had to have a go himself from dummy half. John Lomax. Dwayne Gwiedinsky.
John Lomax doesn't seem to be running anywhere near as hard and consistently as he did last week.
Well, a penalty this time to Wainui-a-Mata. An infringement into play the ball there. Gilbert is going to have another shot at goal. Trying to even the score. Has the breeze behind him.
Must be swirling around a bit down there, though. This will be obviously a difficult kick for him from out there. But you know, he's a very, very sharp shooter, and you'd still pick him out of anyone on this field to put this one over.
He's really come on as a player in general play this year as well, Jason Gilbert. Only his second year in Premier Grade football. Already cemented a place in the Wellington Rep team. Struck that pretty well, but it's away to the right this time, so the score remains 6 points to 4. Otahuhu leading Wainui-a-Mata. 35 minutes gone in the first half.
Still, he did the decent thing and kicked it dead. That's a help.
The Line Red League Cup is on the line today. Wainui-a-Mata tried to win it last year, but they couldn't beat Northcote. Can they do it this year? Their second crack at it in 2 years. Otahuhu haven't won the national grand final since 1983.
And we've got a final every bit as tight as last year's one. I remember that one was 10-4 to Northcote. It was very, very tight all the way through till very late. And this one's going in the same direction at this stage.
Steve Cox plays it. Now it's Dave O'Sullivan. Now he was one of the best forwards last week for Wainui-a-Mata. But hasn't really been standing out as much today. There's still a long way to go in this game, though. Ellie Davis trying to find a way through the middle, but Dean Clark just manages to throw him into the turf. That's the fifth tackle now. Bit of confusion in the play the ball from Wainui-a-Mata. Eventually it goes out to David Lomax. There's one over the top. He does pretty well. He picks it up, throws it inside to Ellie Davis. Barton is back there. Gilbert is there. Wainui-a-Mata keeping it alive. Davis running around in circles. There's Alan Jackson. He has to go forward and throws it into the arms now of Otahuhu. A chance for them to get away. And has Michael Graham got the pace? Yogi Rogers is there. Michael Graham will get away. opportunist try. Michael Graham between the posts under the black dot. The supporters love that one.
So they should, one end of the field to the other. It all started with some panic football from Wainvinta down there outside the Otahuhu goal line. They were just keen to keep it alive, try and flick it around, but in the end they got themselves into a heck of a corner. And finally the ball came loose and Michael Graham just picked it up and had the whole field to himself. Yogi Rogers, he's a real speedster. Scored heaps of tries for Wainui this year, but he just couldn't quite get close enough to him to effect a tackle. Very, very important try for Otahuhu, that one.
Well, here's another shot at it. Put it down to Michael Graham. Poor defence early on against the run of play. And I really thought Yogi Rogers had him here, but it wasn't to be. And that really is going to give them a great psychological boost, getting pretty close to half-time. So a happy Otahuhu camp there at the moment. They're leading by 10 points to 4. Dean Clark in front.
Give some credit there to Des Meyer. Nicely flicked up to Michael Graham. I mean, the ball just came loose. His instantaneous reaction was to flick it on to someone rather than just turn around and take the tackle.
Dean Clark played 2 tests for the Kiwis this year. That was against Great Britain in the first and second test, and lost his place. Has really had a good month or so. Dean Clark makes the scoreline look a bit better now. 12 points to 4, favour of Otahuhu.
And there's Joe Gwynn, the Otahuhu coach. Should be a little bit relieved about that. He's not showing any signs, but the old Graham Lowe look there, I think, a little bit stern and serious. Long way to go, though, of course. But Joe's been a marvellous servant to rugby league. He's coached a number of clubs, Otahuhu, Richmond, Northcote, and now back at Otahuhu, and won 4 Auckland premierships.
And it was Graham Lowe that took over from Joe Gwynn at Otahuhu. I know that Graham Lowe certainly has a lot of praise for Joe Gwynn's influence on his coaching career. Quietly spoken man. Maybe tonight, if they can carry on the way they're going at the moment, we might get a few extra words out of him.
Sure we will.
Almost half-time. And Desmond Meyer takes it in goal. Just 19 years of age, Desmond Meyer filling in for the Kiwi Player of the Year at Tauranga Nikau today. And so far so good. He's got a big future ahead of him.
He's a big man too, isn't he? He's huge. Rusty Martu are doing a bit of hard work for the forwards.
Dean Noble to the quarter line. Message 20 metres short of halfway.
Now they're being a little bit clever about it. They're just keeping in just a couple out here generally.
Oh, Big Sam Ikanasio put it down, and Wayne Barton's got a chance against the run of play. The big prop was standing out wide and made a mess of it. Now Wainvinta in with a chance. Ken Laban. It's all over. Half-time. Time has run out for Wainvinta.
Well, that's a strange thing. He's played the clock instead of the hooter.
Well, it's 12 points to 4. Otahuhu leading Wainvinta at half-time at Carlo Park.
On One Playhouse, it's 1959, and to this English schoolboy, one man is immortal. Buddy Holly with Richie Valens and the Big Bopper. A band whose music was Ivor's obsession.
We decided to charter a plane instead of that freezing old bus.
You know I don't like you to fly.
Music was his freedom. In a life with little other joy.
You hear the wireless this morning?
Words of Love, the story of a boy and his buddy. 8:45 Monday on One Playhouse.
Lion Red Limited is proud to sponsor the New Zealand Rugby League teams in their battle for the Lion Red League Cup. Lion Red Limited, proud sponsors of New Zealand Rugby League. Auckland, the city of sails, and the Auckland Superdome. the world's most advanced stadium concept. Welcome to the world of entertainment and action. You can lease a seat for up to 15 years with all the comforts of home. Foundation membership is now available for a limited time. Phone 366 1990.
Say cheese, Millicent.
Motown, all white lawn tractors are at new low prices. Whites with smooth Cruise-matic drive, award-winning cutting and catching systems, improved tide turning, and a new four-wheel steer model. Now all permanently reduced, some by $700. And Harry's back at Motown. His quiet running and superb cutting and catching of even wet grass have taken New Zealand by storm. The White and Harry range, all with Motown's double warranty from Motown dealers nationwide.
The rain now coming down on a very sandy Carlaw Park. Otahuhu leading 12-4 at half-time. And Graham Lowe, if you were the Wainui coach, what would you be saying to your boys now?
I'd be saying to them just be a little bit patient. They're actually playing very well. I think they're defending well. You know, there's been a try against the run of play, but by and large they've been playing very well. And I think possibly Otahuhu could take a leaf out of their tactics as far as their forward play goes, because you know, the Otahuhu, there's no lack of commitment on either side, but I think possibly the Otahuhu forwards could run a little bit closer off the ruck, gain ascendancy before they start trying to fire the ball out quite so much. It is working for them, and they are in front, but at this stage it's still anybody's game, and they're both sides playing it very well.
Thanks, Graham. Also with me is Kiwi coach Bob Bailey. Bob, if you were the Otahuhu coach, what would you be saying now?
Well, I'd probably be saying just battle on the way you're going. Wainvinta starting to miss tackles. Mind you, Otahuhu missing as many in the middle. So I think which forward pack's going to hold out will survive the day. That's what the end result will be, which forward pack can hold out and keep the defensive pattern going.
It's Bob Bailey, Kiwi coach, at the Lion Red League Cup final. Let's have a look now at the highlights of the first half.
Well, here's a chance for the Leopards again. Dean Clark, the double round with his older brother Arthur. Out to Michael Graham up into the line. And over the top to Rusty Martua. Try!
Dean Clark's long pass connected with his outsides here. Michael Graham into the line. Runs very sweetly and offloads beautifully here to Rusty Martua. Over in a couple of tackles, Guyazinski and Gilbert there, but he gets through both of them.
Yes, a good wingers finishing try, this one. Still had a lot of work to go here. Beat one, turned in the tackle of Gilbert. Good try. Dean Clark. Yogi Rogers. I was impressed with his performance against the Attitude last week. And a great run by the fullback. At about 25 metres right up the middle, and here's a chance for Wainvinta to add some extra points. Dean Clark, the man who's leading Otahuhu today, but he gave away a penalty there, taking the ball away from Rogers after the referee had called held. Now it's Gilbert moving in. And another 2 points on the board for Wainvinta. The gap closes. 2 points to Jason Gilbert. Again, so it's Otahuhu 6 leading Wainvinta 4. That's the fifth tackle now. Bit of confusion in the play the ball from Wainvinta. Eventually it goes out to David Lomax. There's one over the top. He does pretty well. He picks it up, throws it inside to Ellie Davis. Barton is back there. Gilbert is there. Wainvinta keeping it alive. Davis running around in circles. There's Alan Jackson. He has to go forward and throws it into the arms now of Otahuhu. A chance for them to get away. And has Michael Graham got the pace? Yogi Rogers is there. Michael Graham will get away. Well, an opportunist try. Michael Graham between the post under the black dot.
So it's 12-4 at half-time. Otahuhu leading Wainvinta. And joining me are three players who were playing in a festival game before this game started, before the final. And joining me is Hugh McGann, Jeff Tuvey and Gary Freeman. Hugh, first of all, no shortage of commitment in this final.
This final out here, there's certainly no shortage. Both teams are playing it very hard. Wainvinta playing in a similar game game plan to what Newcastle and Sydney play, and they're taking up the ruck area of Otahuhu, and Otahuhu are just scrambling enough just to hold them out. But it's going to be an interesting second half, that's for sure.
Just to go to Australia for a moment, how are things with you and Easts?
Well, they've made a commitment on 3 new coaches for next year, so my commitment with East next year is just playing, which I'm relieved for, because it certainly was a headache when I went back as captain coach. It certainly told in the end, but at least we had a better performance, but hopefully looking for good things in 91.
Hugh McGann, good luck at Easts. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Jeff Tuvey, how's the eye?
Well, 3 stitches. I went all season without getting one over in Sydney, and I come here to, with just have an exhibition match, and I end up with 3 stitches in my head.
But it's half-time in a grand final. How will the players be feeling now?
Well, I'm not sure. It's a pretty tough match out there. There's a few big fellas out there knocking each other around. I think they'll come out, and the rain might cause a bit of trouble, but I'm sure it'll be a big, tough match.
And Gary, you've been involved in a grand final before in Auckland. How do you think the players will be feeling?
I think they'll be pretty nervous. I think Wainvinta are very unlucky to be X amount of points down. I think their try came from just a lucky break out of whose try. I think they can hold their heads up high, and I think if Wainvinta just keep going the way they are, take the ball up strongly up the middle, and then try and use their backs. I think they're the number 1 playing fullback and the number 2, the other winger, having sensational games. I think they get the ball to those 2 players, then they can break the Otahuhu defence and probably score some tries. But I think Otahuhu are very, very lucky to be in front by so much.
Gary, thanks for joining us on One World of Sport this afternoon. Good luck with Balmain next season.
All right, thanks very much.
Okay, it's 12-4 at half-time in this grand final, the Lion Red League Cup final. Otahuhu leading Wainuiomata. We'll be back at Carlisle Park after this break.
Wild South tonight. Kapiti Island, only 15 minutes from the mainland, is one of New Zealand's most important wildlife sanctuaries. We journey to Kapiti and meet many of our most beautiful, rarest and friendliest wildlife, and discover why research being done on Kapiti is admired around the world.
I think as New Zealanders we can feel quite proud that our conservationists have gone so far.
Kapiti, the wildlife sanctuary, on Wild South, tonight at 7:30, following Frontline on Television 1.
That was pretty fancy footwork out there tonight, Eric. New boots?
No, Formthotics.
Form what?
Formthotics.
When heated, this Formthotic insole will customize itself precisely to your foot, giving comfort and protection from back and leg injury. Formthotics, the original footbed.
Your heart was jumping, don't you wish you had? Wish you had a Mitsubishi. Wish you had a Mitsubishi.
1989, the year the Lions mauled the Wallabies in one of the toughest, closely fought Test series ever. And now it's on video. Ring this toll-free number 0800 738 888 for your copy of the Lions Tour of Australia. Only $39.95 plus $2 postage. Get the best of the action from the 3 tests and bonus coverage of the Lions versus the Anzacs. All on one great video. Highlights of the 1989 Lions Tour of Australia. Available now. Stop. Stop all that tossing and turning. It makes you tired just watching it. Farmers have the answer. The all-new Sleepyhead Golden Sleep Deluxe, featuring latex rubber and an extra comfort layer for sheer luxury. It's like sleeping on a cloud of air. Farmers offer no deposit with 6 months interest-free terms. Exclusively yours from Farmers.
You love Farmers today.
Now, back to the Lion Red League Cup Final, presented by One World of Sport and Lion Red Limited, proud sponsors of New Zealand Rugby League.
Welcome back to the Lion Red League Cup Grand Final 1990. Otahuhu in the blue, leading by 12 points to 4 over the Wainuiomata Lions. Big Sam Ika-Nasio, number 10 for we'll say that again, Otahuhu, as the rain pours on the players and pours into the commentators as well here at Carlisle Park. Hope you're nice and warm in front of One world of sport this afternoon. A reminder that after this match we'll be going to Sydney for the final of the World Women's Squash Championship, featuring Kiwi Susan Du Bois up against Britain's Martine Lemoine. A big afternoon of sport, and the second half here at Carlo Park is underway. Message thrown into the Leopards emblem inside the Otahuhu quarter line.
There's some good defence there from Wainui early on. They just have to move up and keep Otahuhu down here at this stage.
First mistake in the second half. And a chance.
And the second Nasio again. He did it just before half-time, mapped up.
Steve Cox, the only replacement on the field so far. Just looking at the teams now. Looks like Otahuhu had one as well. We'll pick him up in a moment. Now this is Arnold Lomax. Alan Jackson. Here's a chance for Wainui Amata back inside to Heston Partia. He's held up only a metre out. Positive start in the second half by the Lions. There's the grubber kick through, but it goes straight into the arms of Arthur Clark.
Nicely fielded there. They were under pressure. Gilbert could easily have maybe danced on a little bit further. He's such a deceptive runner.
Oh, Michael Graham. Over there to Richard Blackmore. Number 17 there for Otahuhu is a replacement player, Joe Safoa. And he's on for Vila Matautia, so that's a real setback for the Leopards. Matautia, certainly one of the match winners out in the back line.
I think Matautia might have taken a few too many hits. He certainly looked a bit groggy from one during the first half.
Meyer to the quarter line. And that's the fifth tackle.
Get out of here, Otahuhu.
Back to Michael Graham with the clearing kick. Reggie Rogers took it on the chest according to the referee.
Well, I disagree with that. I saw that ricochet off his right hand for sure.
Heston Partia. Now Ken Laban, the skipper. Playing his last game of rugby league today, Ken Laban. This is his swan song before he hangs up the boots. Dave O'Sullivan. John Lomax. We really haven't seen him at full speed today. Now Jason Gilbert. Dancing and weaving, trying to find a way through. Runs into Dean Noble. That's the fifth tackle.
Nice hand on the face.
John Lomax. Rubber kick through. Richard Blackmore is back there. No, it's not. It's Message, the winger. This is Richard Blackmore. Michael Graham.
That's the way steady yards to be made there. Just keep taking it up around, play the ball.
Desmond Meyer. Got it back to the Wainui Amata player there. So here's a chance for the Wellington side. Ali Davis putting on a bit of speed. Oh, great run by the halfback. Try! The Lions have hit back. Wainui Amata. First with the points on the board in the second half.
What a great early reply. I mean, they've got all the fans down the end. They did the walk right down the pitch at half-time, and they've got an instant reward almost. Ali Davis does this all on his own. There's a large gap there. It goes right past Dean Noble, and in past Graham as well, but it's a beautiful fend. Nicely over. That's the reply they definitely needed. I mean, they needed that in such a big way. 12-4 at half-time.
Okay, now another important kick for Jason Gilbert. 12 points to 8. We're in for a cracker of a second half here in the Lion Red League Cup final. Jason Gilbert moving in as the rain falls. Now it's waved away. 4 points the difference. Otahuhu 12, Wainui Amata 8. And we've had 4 minutes of play in the second half.
It's certainly a tonic for Wainui-a-Mata. Here's Karapuki Tapu. He'd have to be a lot more relieved now. 12-4 at half-time. Looked a little bit ominous for him. It was against the run of play, and they'd certainly put in a lot of hard work. But the kind of reply they needed was early in the first half. Second half, and they've got it.
Dean Clark restarts. Wayne Barton. Tackled by Harvey Mason. A couple of positional changes as we see a knock-on the play the ball, but a couple of positional changes. Watch this here. I think that Richard Blackmore, number 5 on the wing in the first half, has now moved into loose forward. And that means that Steve Message is over on the wing. This Message really that failed to stop Ollie Davis in that try before. As Steve Cox comes away with it, the prop. Good looking run, almost to the halfway line. Gilbert, Laban, quick hands out to Ollie Davis. This is better work by Wainui-a-Mata. Gee, I don't know what they gave to at half-time, but they certainly worked up in the second half. Davis to the 22-metre line. Ryan Gordinski. 18 metres out. Jackson. The ball's been stolen by Rusty Makara.
Well, that's a big relief for Otahuhu. They had the scrum put in way back on Wainui-a-Mata's 22. Had it robbed off them, and now they've lost possession again.
After Clark knocks on, the ball getting pretty slippery out there, obviously. It'll be a Wainui-a-Mata feed into the scrum.
Interesting switch having Blackmore in at loose forward. Had a bit of background as a loose forward in rugby union.
Barton, Ollie Davis, got away from Riley. Won't get away this time from Blackmore off the base of the scrum. Now it's O'Sullivan. Blackmore underneath. Paul over the top. Arnold Lomax taking on the Otahuhu forwards. Jackson having a go on his own, held up 3 or 4 metres out. Davis looking for his second try in just a couple of minutes. He's held up. You can see how close he is. Less than a half a metre out. Back to run. It was touched by Meyer from Otahuhu, so Wainui-a-Mata have another chance. Laban taps. Pulled up 2 metres out. Eston Partia getting pretty close to the line. The pressure is well and truly on here. Jackson's going to try and dive across from dummy half. He's held up. Barton. That's the 5th tackle. Jackson. Now they spin it wide. Lomax is out there. The ball has gone forward. It's been picked up by Jim Paul. So Otahuhu standing up to the pressure on that occasion.
You wouldn't have thought that Wainui were too clever in using the ball down there. I mean, they all had a dart themselves, and it didn't really pay off, obviously.
Well, Dean Noble taking plenty of stopping, not gaining too many metres, but frustrating the Wainui-a-Mata forward back's been touched there by the Wainui-a-Mata marker. John Lomax is going through, and he's been penalised.
Well, one player certainly starting to have a big influence on the game is the Wainui-a-Mata scrum half, Ali Davies. We've heard a lot about this guy since Wainui came into this competition. They reckon he's a real prospect. Just looked no more than a hard worker last year, but he's certainly ignited Wainui this half.
20 years of age, the young halfback. So Harvey Mason taking his time as Otahuhu try and regroup. Leading 12-4 at half-time. Now it's 12-8. We've had 10 minutes of the second half. Jim Paul. Almost to the halfway line.
This is more conventional stuff at the moment.
Oh, there's Sam Ignacio. But he got away with it that time, or his teammates helped him get away with it. It was knocked back. He's lost it about 3 times. Oh, he's held on to it this time.
Very lucky to get away with that there before. That certainly looked like a knock-on.
Well, Dean Clark, a little grubber kick through. Rogers is back there, but Clark took it. They collided. Davis comes away with it. Ellie Davis.
There was some collision, all right. We'll just have a look at this very soon. Here we go. Now watch this. Dean Clark chasing after the ball. Just got his hands on it and smack. In comes Yogi Rogers.
Here's Ken Laban trying to fire his troops up. He wants to go out on a high note. Steve Cox, I think he's made an impression since he's come on as well. Good yardage prop.
He has. Looking as dangerous as he did in last year's final.
John Lomax. Well, he came into his own in the second half.
Well, they're giving him room there. They stood back and let him come, and he looks a lot more dangerous then.
Wayne Barton. That's the 5th tackle. There's Gilbert. Back inside to Alan Jackson. It's touched a Otahuhu player. And it's back to 1. Wainui have another 6 tackles. Alan Jackson from dummy half. Arnold Lomax, 5 metres out. Steve Cox charging for the line, 1 metre out. Jason Gilbert, nowhere to go. They allow him to run, however. He's held up now, 10 metres out. Dave O'Sullivan, get a Otahuhu, hold on. Davis, here's a chance. Gwinnetsky went over the top. Heston Partia, thank you very much. I'll take that try, he says. It's all locked up at 12-all at Carlo Park. The Wainui Amata supporters enjoyed that.
And that had to come. There was just so much pressure being put on Otahuhu. A lot of it they created themselves. O'Sullivan hit in a tackle, but he gets it out over the top. And here's Davies again. Look, he steps around, swings it wide. Barton flicks it on. Partia cuts inside the defence, and that locks it all up at 12-all.
Ellie Davis had a hand in that one again, but this was quick thinking by Gwinnetsky. Good finishing by Heston Partia.
Yep, good try. Kara Pukitavu, a little bit of a glimmer of a smile there, I think, 12-all. And the way things are rolling at the moment, it's looking like Wainui Amata's game. Still a long time to go, but they've got the impetus at the moment. They've got the roll on.
So, this is an important one again for Jason Gilbert. No mistake with that. Straight between the uprights. We have a new leader in this ball game. Wainui Amata from Wellington take the lead. 14 points to 12. We've had 14 minutes of play in the second half. Let's go to the sideline now. Here's Jeff Bryan.
Graham, it's 14-12. Wainui coming back strong in the second half. Why is that?
Well, I think they're working a little more efficiently in the forwards. Like, there's nothing wrong with the commitment of the Otahuhu forwards, but they're all playing out wide. They're all running off pivots 2 and 3 wide, and they're not getting over the advantage line. Where the Wainui Amata forwards they're coming straight off the ruck, hitting the advantage line and getting a roll on, and they've subsequently to maintain good field position. Otahu's trying to, I think, spin the ball.
And the more it rains, the more Wainui is in favour?
Well, that's what I felt before the game. I think that unless Otahuhu do come straight off the ruck, they're going to find themselves, in a little bit of bother.
Penalty to Wainui Amata, head high there, Des Meyer, number 13, caught with a head high tackle. There it is there, certainly above the shoulder line.
Certainly, no doubt about that. He's probably lucky not to spend some time off the field, a few minutes, but he's got away with that.
Well, Otahuhu, with the positional changes, seem to have lost their rhythm at the moment.
They do. They played all right for a couple of tackles there. The first couple of tackles, they were just using Riley as a pivot with forwards running off, and that was working okay. But then on the third, they start spinning it a bit too wide.
Full credit to this Wainui side. They've stuck to their guns today. At one stage it looked as if they were going to lose the forward battle, but they've worn the opponents down. There's still a long way to go. 15 minutes we've had in the second half. 14-12 to Wainui. Dave O'Sullivan. Now John Lomax. We haven't seen him at full speed, but he's certainly running onto it pretty well now. They've been over there, but it's been knocked down by an otahuhu player, so that'll be a scrum.
The pattern's not unlike last week's semi-final against the Aratu, is it? I mean, Wainui's forwards have just kept grinding away. They seem to lack their real edge in the first half, but they're running with a great deal of freedom now.
There's a chance as they come away through Jason Gilbert. Ken Laban, it came off the boot. No knock on. This is Barton now. Tackled by Jim Paul. All of the second half has been played down in this territory. Here's John Lomax charging up. He got it back to nobody in the end.
And it was a forward pass for sure, and there it's been picked up by Jim Stokes. But once again, Wainui are looking to threaten. The try just about on there. John Lomax doing damage as he did to Te Aratu last week.
Riley puts it in. It's lying loose on the ground, but the referee wants it in again. It went straight through the tunnel.
Otahuhu are going to have to do something about their scrum too. I mean, this is their feed, but they're getting shoved all over the place and they're struggling to win their own feeds.
Once again, it's flying loose on the ground. Oh, how close for Wainui. Otahuhu really can't do a thing right at the moment. It'll be a goalmouth dropout, and they're going to have to withstand this Wainui pressure again. The lads from the capital certainly pouring on this pressure. It's relentless at the moment. Not the best of clearing kicks from Mark Oda. Chance for Ellie Davis to run inside the otahuhu quarter. How long can they withstand the pressure of this heavy defence they've been called upon? Dave O'Sullivan. Wainui leading by 14-12, but things looking ominous for Otahuhu. Here's John Lomax, but this time Heston Partier has knocked it on with the line wide open.
I think what Otahuhu need at the moment is a fresh forward. Probably time for Joe Gwynn to bring on some fresh legs in there. Give them some new direction, some new enthusiasm. There's a replay. It's knock on there from Heston Party. His hands let him down then. The ball was rolling loose. Try line begging, but he couldn't connect.
And Mark Riley manages to dive on the ball. They're having trouble winning their scrums. Otahuhu. Otahuhu have made a change. Number 14 is on.
And it's good to see Jim Stokes still prepared to pick up the 5-metre penalty. Wainui well inside the 5 then.
So Michael Graham will find touch on the terrace side. Dean Noble. This is the best position Otahuhu have been in for a while, but they're still inside their own half. Now it's Riley. Ignacio. Bushwolf 1 takes the tackle 5 metres short of halfway. Jim Paul.
This is the way they have to work their forwards. They just haven't been doing this regularly enough in this half.
There's a replacement player on the field now for Otahuhu. And I don't believe it, they're inside the Wainui half. One of the rare appearances in that half of the ground in the second half. Rusty Matua finding some space up the middle. Davis running away again. Oh, he's wrong-footed. Blackmore. No, Martura was. Dean Clark is going to be back there. Can he pick it up? Oh, last-ditch effort by Dean Clark to clean up on that one after that good break by Ellie Davis. So again, it's Otahuhu back inside their own quarter.
That was great defensive work from Clark. He was hearing back to try and make the tackle and then cover the kick. All credit to him for the way he cleaned that up. But once again, there's Ellie Davies looking extraordinarily dangerous. There's Dean Noble hitting it up again.
Arthur Clark at dummy half. Riley. There's Meyer. Throws it back to Mark Riley. And that's the 5th tackle. Arthur Clark with the clearing kick now. There aren't too many chases for Otahuhu though. Yogi Rogers.
Certainly Otahuhu could have improved their chasing then. They've let them run that ball back 22 metres very easily.
So Otahuhu have made 2 changes in this match. Number 14, in fact, is Joe Sapoa, and number 17 is Cliff Pritchard. Wainui Amata have made just the 1 change. Steve Cox on for Tony Lomax. So both sides still have 2 fresh reserves. Wainui Amata on the blind side. Steve Cox. Chance for a drop goal. No, it's off to the right. And Arthur Clark takes it. Penalty to Otahuhu. Wainui Amata offside. Quick tap taken by Mark Riley. About 17 minutes of play remaining, and it's Wainui Amata leading by 12 points to 4. They trailed by, in fact, they lead by 14 to 12. They trailed 12-4 at half-time.
You have to ask why they didn't kick there from the penalty. I mean, it's in the middle of the field and it might have been hard to reach the touchline, but it's madness trying to run it out from here all day.
Ignacio taking the tackle. Wainui Amata really had their attack and their defence working brilliantly at the moment. Richard Blackmore on the quarter line. Arthur Clark, Dean Clark, Desmond Meyer. 5th tackle. Otahuhu don't seem to have too many options on attack at the moment. There's the kick straight into the arms of Yogi Rogers. So Wainui Amata applying the pressure once again. David Lomax in from the wing, giving his forwards a spell. And rightly so, because they've certainly played well today. Good hit there from Safar. Laban.
Looks like a reasonable shepherd there that Laban was allowed to get away with.
Barlow, switch of play, back to Laban. Held up, that's the 5th tackle. John Lomax. The bomb. Michael Graham is back there. No pressure on him. Takes it. And then takes the tackle of Arnold Lomax. Riley at dummy half. None of the Otahuhu forwards are there to put it down. A knock on. Things don't look too good for Otahuhu at the moment.
They don't look good at all. It's only 2 points on the scoreboard, 14-12 to Wainui Amata. But they look a much better team than that at this stage. Otahuhu have just lost their way completely in the first quarter of this half.
Ellie Davis to put the ball in. Barlow will take it out. Davis gets it back to Barlow. Mountain, in fact. Now it's Alan Jackson. It's a try to Wainui-a-Mata.
Call that the game, I'd say. That's the match for sure. And there's no way Otahuhu can come back from here. 14 minutes to go. That is the clincher. And why shouldn't they be thrilled? I mean, this is just a great effort from Wainui-a-Mata to be 12-8, 12-4 down at half-time. In quick time, they've got up to 18-12 ahead. Here we go to play the ball, and Alan Jackson, as he did last week against Te Atatu, sneaks around from play the ball, stretches out in the tackle of Dean Noble, over the line. Thank you.
Caught them napping, but he still had some pretty good defence to beat there in Dean Noble. He'll be pretty happy with himself, no doubt. 2 tries in 2 weeks from the same situation, running from dummy half. 25-year-old former Taranaki representative. I think he's had over 50 games for Taranaki. He's represented Wellington, and this is in his 2nd season with Wainui-a-Mata.
I think he's another one of those Taranaki players that Howie Tomati attracted to Wellington when he moved there and took over the job.
Gilbert has pushed it away to the right, still only 6 points in it. 18 points to 12. Kara Pukatapu, the Wainui-a-Mata coach, signalling things from the sideline. Well, it's going to be a real test of character now for the Otahuhu Leopards, the Auckland champions in 1990. Haven't really fired it all in the second half. David Lomax. A replacement on now for Wainui-a-Mata. Number 14 is Andrew Chalmers. Played for the New Zealand Universities team this year. And it's his first year at Wainui-a-Mata, so maybe he'll get a chance to share in the glory if they can hold on. 12 minutes to go. Jackson, the rubber kick. Pritchard almost made a mess of it. Riley at dummy half. Graham Lowe is on the sideline with One World of Sports, Jeff Bryan.
18-12 Wainui, they're still doing the basics well.
They're playing, just playing it simply down the middle. One off down the centre of the ground, and their forwards are gaining good ascendancy. That's the only difference in these two sides. The Otahuhu forwards are out amongst the centres.
So they've got to come in to make a game of it?
Well, the Otahuhu forwards still have a lot to do inside their own quarter. Sam Mekanasio.
And now they're just swinging the ball around fairly recklessly across their goal mouth. This is very dangerous, actually.
And the kick from Dean Clark is out on the full. Nothing going the way of Otahuhu at the moment. So it'll be a handover. And Wainui-a-Mata inside the Otahuhu 22 again.
They must have been here just all of the last 20 minutes by the looks of it.
They've really paced themselves well. At half-time, Graham Lowe said that they'd have to be patient. They certainly have been. Dave O'Sullivan. 5 metres out. Steve Cox, the big man, straight up the middle again. Nothing fancy. It's one up all the time. Jackson from dummy half. Not this time, Alan. 5 metres out. Davis. Gilbert. Good ball out to Dwayne Groditsky underneath the post. That surely now is the Linehead League Cup for 1990. The crowd roars. They run onto the field. They can't control their emotions.
This is going to be difficult to control. This was the kind of crowd control the officials were a bit worried about from last week when we had a much smaller set of circumstances. But here we go. Gilbert's wide pass. Bypasses John Lomax. Dwayne Groditsky has the clearest of pass around behind the goalposts. And that is definitely it. Otahuhu were within mathematical distance at 18-12 before. 22-12, forget it.
Well, this was held up brilliantly by Jason Gilbert. Certainly a player of the future. Beautiful timing and good skills from Dwayne Gwiatinski to read that one well. Right in front of the post for Jason Gilbert, so it's going to mean that Otahuhu are going to have to score 3 times. And I don't think they've got the legs to do that at the moment. No mistake from Gilbert. 24 points to 12. Wainvinta on a roll, on the way to their biggest achievement in their short career in Premiership football, Premier grade football. Quick tap taken from Otahuhu, quick kickoff rather, but Lomax was back there to clean up for Wainvinta. Still 10 minutes to go in the match. But it's Wainvinta full of confidence. That's David Lomax, the halfway line. Ken Laban. It looks like he will end his career on a high. That's the 5th tackle now.
And have a thought for Gwiatinski as well. I mean, this is his 3rd successive final. He's in line for his 2nd trophy.
Mark Riley. Good run by the halfback. But Otahuhu really have to get down to the Wainvinta end of the ground. They've played the entire second half under pressure. Arthur Clark. Dean Noble. Back to Riley. Ikanasio. Passing with his back to the opposition. I didn't like that, but he got away with it.
If there's a player Otahuhu who have really missed this half, I think it must be Vila Moteltia. They're really missing his strong running out in the centres. He was running as hard as any of their forwards, but they're certainly feeling the strain of not having him.
Well, that's the 5th tackle. Arthur Clark allows it to bounce. Dean Clark. Rubber kick through, has been touched and picked up by a Wainvinta player, but he was offside, Jason Gilbert. So rather than settle it down, Otahuhu keep the momentum going. Des Meyer. The ball has been stolen, however, by Alan Jackson.
That's the theme of this half. Wainvinta are in control of just about everything there is to be in control of.
Making the advantage line on every occasion. Been a fine effort by the boys from the capital. Gwiatinski, that's the 5th tackle. Gilbert having a run on his own. Jason Gilbert, he's got a lineup of players alongside him, but it was intercepted by Dean Clark, and that will be the knock-on. The Wainvinta feed, so they still have the territorial advantage.
What are these buckets for?
6 minutes to go. Wainvinta leading by 24 to 12 off the back of the scrum. Barton. Davis at dummy half. Arnold Lomax. Arnold Lomax. There's another try to Wainvinta.
You had to fancy them for that, didn't you? I mean, they were just open for it any time. Wainvinta have got so much going for them that they could have scored at least another couple of tries in this game.
He's one of the best yardage players in the game in Wellington, if not in New Zealand. Arnold Lomax, one of 4 Lomax brothers in the side today. Where would Wainvinta be without them?
And if you watch him here, he takes it up as hard as he can. Dean Clark tries to hang on to him, but he's got no show. Richard Blackmore well beaten, and Jim Paul just couldn't answer that close to the line.
28 points to 12. Wainvinta trailed 12-4 at half-time.
This is certainly one of the biggest margins we've had in a Lion Red Cup final. We can go back to Tiara to Mount Albert victory 36-10, but generally speaking they've been very close affairs.
Jason Gilbert. Straight between the uprights, there's a wall of Wainui-a-Mata supporters behind the uprights. I think the Otahuhu supporters have called it a day, starting to leave the ground. 30 points to 12. You really have to congratulate Wainui-a-Mata on their second half performance today.
And actually, let's get it right, it was 1986 that Te Aratu beat Mount Albert 36-10 to get that perfectly right.
Dean Clark taking plenty of time with the kickoff. Yogi Rogers, another strong game today. Replacement player on the field looks to be George Pralongo. Jason Gilbert. The Lions roaring again. Steve Cox, he's full of running, the big man. Oh, they're really steamrolling the Leopards at the moment. There's a big lineup out wide. Gilbert is going to throw the dummy though. That was forward. That was forward, so it's a scrum feed to Otahuhu. Let's see what they can do in the last 5 minutes of the match. Can they put on a consolation try?
There's not much more for them to achieve at this stage.
20 metres out from the Otahuhu line. Oh, big push there from Wainui-a-Mata, and they've got it against the feed. Back in 1982, Petone of Wellington won the National Club Rugby League Grand Final when they beat Randwick. But since then, it's been an Auckland club that has taken it out every year. So they'll be celebrating in the capital tonight, no doubt.
Look at that scrum again. Now, Wainui-a-Mata scrum has just destroyed Otahuhu in the second half. You'd almost think it was a rugby union scrum, the way they're pushing.
Cox. Now it's Laban. Laban will play it. There's the big one by Jackson over to Yogi Rogers. Another try to Wainui-a-Mata. They can't put a foot wrong at the moment. They're enjoying it as much as their loyal supporters who have travelled off to Auckland from Wainui-a-Mata.
Brilliant stuff. Here we come. Alan Jackson flings out an extra long pass. Yogi Rogers leaps for it, and he's taken it in beautifully, considering it's a bit greasy out there at the moment. Michael Graham can't answer him.
He certainly deserved that try, Yogi Rogers. He's been one of the stars for Wainui-a-Mata this year. 34 points to 12, and the fullback in for his first try of the grand final.
What an emphatic victory. This is the coming of age for Wellington Rugby League. There are people down there, Bernie Wood especially among them, who have always fancied Wellington to be on a par with Auckland, and they've certainly got their answer today.
Jason Gilbert. A familiar sight here in this grand final, kicking for goal. The wind is going to push it away. No problem though, no pressure on him at this stage. 34 points to 12, Wainui-a-Mata. Gilbert knows they've got this one in the bag. They've had it in the bag for quite a few minutes now. And the scoring may not have stopped. We still have a minute or so to go. Dean Clark, disappointment for him. Taura Anika was the skipper of the Otahuhu side when they won the Auckland Grand Final, but since then it's been Clark in control. David Lomax. Wainui-a-Mata will just keep it tight now. Ken Laban having what could be his final run in rugby league. He's retiring after this match today. Malongo. John Lomax finding some open spaces, and he's going to find touch in the end. So again, it's otahuhu with a scrum only 10 metres out. It's all over though. The Lion Red League Cup has been won by Wainui by 34 points to 12. And Richard, that was a fantastic second half from the lads from the capital.
Sensational. This is just wonderful football from them. Otahuhu were held completely scoreless. 12-4 they led at half-time. Look at that. Wainui have put on 30 points. 30 points in the second half. That's just phenomenal.
Well, the crowd have certainly enjoyed this one. There's Ken Laban being lifted high in the air, retiring after the match today, and he's been a real solid worker for the Wainui Rugby League Club over the years. But it's back in Wellington again, Richard. It's been a long time between drinks.
It has. Long time. We had Petone way back there in 1982, as you say. That was a great final, Petone against Randwick, and all Wellington final in the first year of this league as we've had it. But since then, Auckland have always held the upper hand over Wellington teams, even though it's just been between Wellington and Auckland in the grand final. And now Wellington can claim to be the strength of the game, I suppose.
Now we can go somewhere over there amongst all of the celebrations. One World of Sports, Jeff Bryan.
Hi, Graham, an incredible fight back in the second half by Wainui, 12-4 down at half-time.
Yeah, I think it was a great performance by them. You know, they played the game in the correct manner, I believe. You know, they took it to Otahuhu much stronger in the forwards, much more simply and basic, and they followed up with a good kicking game. They always had good field position. And unfortunately, Otahuhu were trying to play the game a little wide too often.
As a former Otahuhu man yourself, you'd be a bit disappointed.
Oh, well, I am disappointed for Otahuhu, but I'm pleased for New Zealand Rugby League because it was only a short time ago where there wouldn't have even been any question of who was going to win between an Auckland club side and a Wellington club side. And it just shows how the game's developing right throughout the countryside, and it was a fantastic performance by Wainui Namata, and I think Wellington Rugby League will be very pleased with themselves as well.
Can you see a general improvement in the standards of New Zealand Rugby League at club level?
Well, I don't know how it's been leading up to today's game, but if today's game was any indication, it looks very, very strong. I know the Australian players that are over here at the moment, they were very impressed by the intensity of the game, and if that can be done week in, week out, I think the game's in good stead.
All right, that's comments from Graham Lowe as One World of Sport finishes its coverage of this Lion Red Rugby League Cup final. A great win to Wainui. Mark, what do you think of that?
Jeffrey, I thought it was great, a great game, and only the second year in the Premier grade that they've really taken out a fantastic grand final there, haven't you? Well, we've got squash coming up, but if you'd like a copy of that match, get in touch with TVNZ Enterprises, private bag, Wellesley Street in Auckland, $39.95, plus a couple of bucks for the post and packaging. After the break, it's squash.
Today's live coverage of the Lion Red League Cup final was presented by One World of Sport and Lion Red Limited, proud sponsors of New Zealand Rugby League.